Hey everybody, it's Baby Bear and it is raining again. I feel like I'm doing more videos because for some reason it just keeps raining and I keep wanting to do videos when it rains. I don't know why. It's helping my productivity. So maybe it's good that it's raining all the time. So I wanted to do this video on 11:30. Very, very nice server. I like them because they liked my YouTube channel. They all messaged me prior for a throne truce. And of course, here's just a secret for everybody to know. I'm so easy on throne truces because at the end of the day, I'm just one of those players that just likes throne truces because I like my weekends. I want everybody else to get their wings and I'm just that easy. So usually when people contact me and say that they're a fan of my YouTube channel, plus that they want to get a throne truce, it usually happens. So, and of course I ask the server leaders. I ask the server just to make sure that they're cool with it. At the end of the day, certain players are the ones that are going to be playing the throne truce battles. So usually that involves me. So, you know, that's kind of where I stand with throne truces. And shout out to those players. Obviously, flattery gets you guys everywhere. So I really kind of wanted to do this video because somebody in the comments wanted me to do something about SVS wings. And this is a perfect example. This actual SVS is a perfect example how 100 million player can get their wings. And so I'll take you through that really quickly, and then I'll show you a K40 hit on me with T15s, and then I'll show you the very ending of the SVS where we were losing by 100 million points, and luckily got a last minute hit in, literally last minute hit in, and we won the SVS. So we'll show you guys that as well. So really quick, I want to talk about how to get SVS wings. This is just my opinion on it, guys. Not an expert. You can take with this information you will, but I want to just share with you how I interpret the best ways to get SVS. Top 5. Okay, so one of the biggest things is when your server gets a throne truce, this is the time where your smaller players will actually excel. Because when you have a throne battle, your biggest players are automatically going to be racking up points because of all the rallies. So really take advantage of any time your server gets a throne truce. So number 1 is your speed. And this is the most underrated thing that people understand. At the very beginning of the game, it's really important to practice ghosting and to be fast on attacks, defense, and teleports. Teleporting is going to save your ass so many times. If you are a smaller player, try to focus your build on research and stats and keep your troops at a ghost level. And of course, that is advice that I will give to every keep at the beginning of the game. Your foundational stats are your most important, so people who are building all these troops and T1 traps and everything, make sure that you really have a keep that has the research that can support it, that has the tier level that can support it. You really want to make sure your foundational stats are there. You don't want to be like a K38, 39 player, and then when you're zeroed, it's 100 million power, right? Like you need to have really good foundational research and stats. The best way you can practice on speed and ghosting is scouting targets and sharing them to world chat. This automatically will put you in a realm where all the big players will like you, and actually all the players will like you because you're finding targets for people and you're risking yourself to basically ghost and provide those scouts where it's hard for other players to scout and attack at the same time. So try not to waste your advanced march speeds. I always say that, don't waste those, and really save them up when you decide to go for your wings. So if you're not a spender or a high coiner, you really have to learn how to save. So I see a lot of these players speeding to pyramids and barbarians, and just remember, if you really want to go for your top SVS wings, you want to save those for when you go for that. And I always say, get that out of the way. Get that out of the way so that you can, waste it on whatever you want. So get your top 5 out of the way. Number 2 is source of life. So save as much source of life as possible. You are better off holding on SVS participation where you attack. And that's because you could be up to top 4 and then all of a sudden get knocked out and then you are not able to reheal. Obviously, if you have a lot of RSS, you can use the RSS, but then it, puts you back on upgrading your keep. So really save up the source of life, and you can kill a lot of monsters, a lot of Sphinx. Join the rallies for the top level ones so you can save up source of life. There's a lot of events where you can get source of life in it, and I highly recommend you do that. Get enough source of life where if you get zeroed, if your whole keep gets zeroed, that you can heal 3 times over. This is also why I recommend getting your top 5 when you're at ghostable troop level, because once you get to those higher troop tiers and you don't have the source of life, it's going to be a much bigger risk for you. So get it in early, guys. The earlier, the better, the easier the matchups, just as soon as you can. So number 3 is assessing your targets, and this is really important. And this is where you're going to rely on a lot of your scouters, and these guys are very valuable. So treat them like gold. They're people that basically are not really getting anything out of it. They can't hit these keeps themselves. Usually they're smaller power players. However, they're sharing these scouts so that other players can hit them and you guys can win the SVSs. So I always want to give a shout out to these types of players. And obviously, the more that these people do it, the more that the bigger players are going to look out for you and want to help you get your wings when you're ready to do that. So definitely make sure that you have somebody who can scout for you if you're not yet fast enough. And even now, I am not fast enough to do a scout read and know what to send in 3 seconds. You got to know how to do that. Learning it through BOC, where there's obviously less risk, but even if you have alt account and an alt device, if you are able to, scout with your alt, you can look on one device and then make your assessment on your other device and attacks. Of course, after you make your assessment, utilize rule number 1, and that's to make sure you utilize your speed. Speed, hit, and bubble. Do not hesitate. There's nothing that I cannot stand more are when people hit a target and they don't put a speed on it. That is so important, guys. If you even give them 5 seconds, they can get reinforced or a big castle can come behind you and hit you. You are just being so vulnerable. You have to speed. That is why you have to save those advanced march speeds. You have to just pound on the speed button and then hit that bubble on the return. Do not wait till your troops just slowly walk back. That's another thing that I cannot stand watching, when people do not hit that bubble right away. You have to be fast. So after you get your assessing your target and you finally get a hit on somebody, then we'll go to number 4. Now, this is just a suggestion and it's not recommended for when you're doing challenge and all-stars or whatever. You don't want to do it when you're trying to qualify for these events, because the cutoff times are always like sketchy and you never know. So just safer to stay in your alliance for those times. But when you don't have that, or if, like, let's say you're a smaller player and you're not really competitive in any of those events, then it's smart to join the number 1 PvP alliance for SVS, because number 1, you get to watch and learn. You get to watch how people play PvP, but also then they know you're coming there to either try to get your wings. They know that they can share scouts with you. You're going to be in an environment where people are constantly looking for targets, and not everybody is going to share in world chat because obviously there's other server spies. So a lot of time that information stays within an AC. So joining another PvP alliance is really smart. And obviously people will help you. And especially the bigger players tend to hold back, they'll hold back. And so this is one of the biggest things that I think is that a lot of bigs are willing to help those who help themselves. And when you are a team player, when you're really trying hard and people can see it, and usually you can see it more when you're in the alliance with them, they're going to help you. And here's an example on this SVS. Ban, who's only 100 million power, was in the top 5 at the very beginning. And I wasn't playing. If you saw my other video, you know why. I had food poisoning. And Cortez was literally on the cusp of knocking him out. But again, because we have a good relationship with a lot of the FOU players, because we know that Ban was really trying, and plus we had a throne truce, we really wanted to help him get his wings. And that sometimes means that the big players have to hold back. I'm not saying that all the big players have to do this. I'm not saying that you should do this. Especially you shouldn't, I don't think you should lose an SVS, but the thing is that if a big player likes you, they're more likely to hold back and not knock you out. And I know it's like real world shit, guys. I mean, it's just like the same thing as like being a coworker. You have to be the type of person that can get along with everybody, not just in your own alliance. Because when you seclude yourself in your alliance, only your alliance is going to want to help you. Well, as opposed to if you actually are active in SVS and help all alliances and are kind to all alliances, or you don't even have to be kind, just be respectful, or just don't talk shit to them, right? Like, don't be a lapdog, just, stay out of the drama. And most of the time, like 90% of the time, big players will hold back on points because they're going to want to help their server get a new wing holder. So shout out to Kotez for doing that. We were on the cusp of losing this SVS. And so, of course, at this point, we were about 100 million power below. And so we were all hitting monsters on the other server. And Kotez couldn't pass a certain threshold, so he couldn't hit Ban out. So then we had to ask Ban, can you please start getting more points with monsters? And he did. I was watching, and he was hitting monsters, hitting fairies. So definitely then Kotez was able to hit more monsters, and we were able to kind of raise our points gradually. So again, shout out to Ban. He did an absolutely great job, and he's only 100 million power, and we're a year old. So you absolutely can be a small player and do it, guys. You just have to, be a good player, and most of all, make the friendships and relationships so that you can get your wings. I mean, at the end of the day, is it really going to hurt you to make friendships with people that your alliance leader doesn't like if it helps you out? It just, don't cut yourself off. That's all I'm saying is, there's a lot of lapdogs on our server, and I'm sure there's a lot of lapdogs on a lot of different servers, and you're just only hurting yourself when you talk shit to other players, and you're not getting anything out of it. You're not getting anything out of it. So just try to understand that this is this is just like a microcosm of the real world. So, and I know a lot of people have big egos and they don't want to suck up to people. You don't have to suck up to people. That's my cat. Hi. Okay, bye. I'm talking. Go away. Okay, so that is it. I also recommend watching. Okay. I also recommend watching other YouTubers that are really, really high in PvP action. So I'm sharing a link in my comments. You guys should check out Vig's channel. They do major high-end top alliance type stuff, throne battles and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I always watch King Sing. I know everybody does. So really try to watch other players that are really high intense in PvP. And you're going to start understanding how important speed is and how important reading scouts are. And just, again, they're the top players. So obviously anybody in their orbit or in their team, they're going to be helped. And so these are just all very simple tactics. But a lot of times people have narrow vision, especially when their alliance leader only gives them that very limited view. And just know that when you watch other YouTubers, you know that you can kind of see that there's a holistic vision, and that people on your server that you might not agree with, they actually are kind of saying things that other servers do. So I think it's important just to kind of expand your mindset. And I do appreciate you all watching my YouTube channels. I know I'm not very knowledgeable in everything, but hopefully what knowledge I do have is somewhat helpful to some of you guys. Okay, and last up on this video is showing you an attack from a K40 with T15s that came at me. And as you see, the exchange was pretty much yes, I won, but only won very slightly, even on the point exchange, very slightly. And so there is a lot of work that I need to work on. However, this guy had some crazy, crazy range stats. He's rocking the Conrad and Electra combo, which was interesting. And definitely MA5 was up there. I mean, all of his HP and defense was really high. And it was cool to see. It was cool to see the exchange. And it was cool to see because I normally don't take hits. I really am a dodge and weaver. I really don't take them. And that's why I have such low troop power. I also mistakenly didn't ghost out my top calves, which I think the point exchange would have been a lot better had I done that. But it was it was such a quick hit. I didn't even have time to record. Literally just went over to a temple to attract his attention and basically just got dinged within a second. So when you do that kind of stuff, when you're at a point where it's the last hour and you guys are literally fighting over 100 million power difference, that's when you have to get the buy-in from the server. Are you guys cool with me doing a risky move? And if we, lose a lot of power, don't get mad at me. Just know that like I'm trying to do it so we can get point positive. And I always just ask the server that just so that they don't think that a big player is coming in just to be a wrecking ball and get negative points just, for their own cause. It's because you don't have a choice. At the very end, you either have to risk it to get the points or you basically just lose, with a very small 100 million point difference. And that's just, I don't know. That's just not how I like to play. I definitely like to make sure that we win. And it was difficult because only the people that were top 4 could really do this, because if Kotez tried, we were thinking of Kotez reinforcing me, going over there and trying to take a hit and then being point positive, but then we were worried that Kotez would get more points than Ban, so basically had to take a solo hit. Obviously, wasn't expecting him to have full T15. He had archers. But what I like about this guy is he's only 3 billion power and he's so strong and he's got his T15. And that's how I'm building. And a lot of people question me all the time in comments and just from Discord channels. They're like, why don't you have troops? You're VIP 18. And this is exactly the reason why. I am taking a different approach to my build. It has nothing to do with me thinking that I'm doing anything that's better than anybody else. It's just how I want to approach it. I want to make sure I have all my T15s. I want to make sure that, I have my MA5 done before I start building out all of these troops. I'm not saying that anybody that's doing it is wrong, because if you're a specific spender, maybe you can't be a high coiner, so you want to build that T1 trap. You can totally do that. And obviously, if you're a 10 billion power keep and you want these T1s because you are very, very competitive in the battlefields, then it totally makes sense. But for me, I prefer to just build up my T15s first, be low in troop power because it's less risk, especially in SVS. I think that SVS is probably the event that I like the most. It's the one that I excel in the most, but it's also the one that I don't have to worry about. I don't have to worry about getting zeroed because I could probably get zeroed, 6, 7, 8 times and have enough source of life for it at the size that I'm at. And once I start building those troops, it starts becoming a liability. And I want to have my foundation built really well before I start taking those hits. I usually don't. But again, we were just in a situation where this was the route that we needed to take a win. And so it just so happened, though, that obviously this point exchange wasn't going to get us ahead. So luckily, we had one last scout that came in, and that was from Ketsa. And you probably know that I wasn't very happy with Ketsa a couple of videos back. This definitely redeemed himself. It definitely showed that he's being a team player. And regardless if I like somebody or not, if I see that they're actually helping the server, then I will always give credit where credit's due. Definitely this spotting saved our SVS, and obviously I had to act very quickly. And I did not follow rule number 3, which is assessing your target, because we were at the very last minute, so had to throw that out the window. We did not want to tip off that this guy's shield was down, And it also could have been a trap. So I had to think about both of the possibilities, but we did not have time to sit there and scout and assess. We just had to take the hit and do the risk. So I sent ground, even though after I saw the report, definitely should have just sent range. It definitely was a mistake. He wasn't reinforced. He had all of his mount troops in, so definitely was just a random bubble drop, unfortunately, for their server. I hope he doesn't get yelled at, by the way, for this video. Thank you so much for dropping your bubble at the very last minute. But I should have sent range, but I just sent ground just in case it was a trap and they were reinforcing with ground. I only make that assessment because that's what early servers do. They normally reinforce with ground, knowing that somebody with high range attack is going to come at them. So I just switched it up just in case. And luckily had enough power to zero this guy, and basically we got 200 million points ahead. And so that was the end factor, and we won our SVS. So I think, again, it's just so important to show how important your server unity is. No matter how much drama happens, it's really important to realize that at the end of the day, your server works better together. And maybe just players need to start kind of like looking at their leaders in a way where, you know, they're not always going to be all right. And you shouldn't just be in a cult mindset, you know, you should actually look at your leader and be like, hey, maybe this person is really not helping us. Maybe this person is holding us back. Maybe our server would be better working together. Maybe I could get my wings easier if we worked with the rest of the server. Just things like that, I think people should just really think about. And I think you're going to really open your eyes. And so that is basically it, guys. I think I'm very happy with the outcome of this. I'm sorry this is a long video, but people did ask about the SVS top 5, how to get them. I hope this is helpful. Obviously, if you are spending, use the Amazon coins, click the link. Even if you don't buy anything, click the link. Even if you want to click the link and buy something else on Amazon, it's very helpful to the channel. I'm so thankful and grateful for all the people that I've met through the YouTube channel. All of you guys are amazing, and I want to definitely pass all of those good vibes on. Definitely recommend Vig's channel. I'll post that in the description and comments below. I would love to see everybody try to get as much as they can out of this game. I know it can be a grind, and I know it can be expensive, so want to try to help people save as much as possible, because it's a lot, you know, it's a lot. So obviously be safe out there, and hopefully we'll see you guys soon. Bye.